So, hello, folks. Welcome to the Foolish Tech Show. This is the Tuesday edition. I'm your host today, Michael. I'm here with Brantley and Tank. They're going to help us out here today, hopefully until we can get a few more of our crew on board. We're going to be talking about a little bit, going to continue our discussion, our ongoing discussion regarding privacy and security. And this kind of plays off of ones we've done previously on VPNs and a bunch of the stuff, a bunch of Brantley shows that he's done recently. But I wanted to specifically focus today's issue on encryption and more specifically PGP for secure email communication. And I'll go into all that here in just a moment. But we got some more folks here. Welcome, Nick. Our head boss there, Nick, and in the orange bandana there. And to Brantley's right, you'll see our good buddy Proctor.
Hey, good buddy Proctor.
Howdy.
I'm gonna go ahead. Let's go ahead and start monitoring the chat.
People, good mornings.
Good morning.
Good mornings, 80s rap video, Nick.
Good
What?
With your sweatband on.
I need to move my thingy to the other thing.
80s rap video, Nick.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
man. I was just doing a rap video before the show. And,
It's what he does in his spare time. If we didn't already
I bet it
mention,
was about
folks.
bacon and jalapenos.
Yes, it was. It was a good note. Okay, so who here? Does anybody here know anything about PGP and how it relates to your communication via email?
no, but I got colors, man.
Yes, you have the colors. So that's very important. But what I wanted to discuss, though, was some more specifics, and I'm going to go through some steps here with you guys and post some links. Let me just make sure I have everything prepared here.
I know that it's complicated and aggravating.
No, it's actually very straightforward. So here, I'm going to get us some links here. I'm loosely followed a Lifehacker article. I thought was pretty relevant. Now they have a very old one, circa 2006, regarding encrypting your email, but that's considerably outdated. I found a newer one, and I'll post it here. Here you go. This one's generally more straightforward to follow, and I want to even take a shortcut through that and get straight to how I use my email. But there's tons of options, and we'll go into all those things in a second. But basically, you're going to need a couple things. As it's going to tell you here, we need GNU Privacy Guard. And if you're working on a Windows environment, or they're recommending GPG tools under OS X. But specifically for Windows, GPG4Win is the one that I chose. It's very easy, straightforward. Just to download. The default installation is more than sufficient. And it's undergoing continued development, and so it should work quite well. So I installed that, and I'm going to pop that open. Actually, there's not much to see with that, to tell you the truth. GPG4Win sticks itself in a folder, and there's a tool called Cleopatra, basically that just manages certificates, but you don't even need to do any of that. Basically, all you need is the actual GNU Privacy Guard and that infrastructure in there, and then the email plugins will interact with that. So you have to consider what you're going to be using. If you want to go the route of a traditional email client, old school, like Outlook or something similar, the recommended solution for this is to get Thunderbird. I'm sure you're all familiar with Mozilla and Firefox, but Thunderbird is basically Outlook. Mail client. This Outlook similar to Outlook Mail client. It's not like Outlook actually, but it's got similar feature sets, I'd say. Let's see. And you'll need to get a plugin for that. Thunderbird by itself doesn't directly support PGP, but the Enigmail plugin, and I'll copy a link to that as well if you are going to go this route. I'm not. I'm actually going to go with the webmail. I think that's a lot more common these days, and we'll probably cover a lot more of the population here than this route. But if we have some time, I'll go into the Enigmail as well. Let's see.
Oh, they came out with a new maze runner.
Yeah, the Scorch Trials.
Beta.
Yeah. Not sure why that's related, but anyway, the one I've been using myself personally, and the one I want to focus on at least for the get-go here because it is so incredibly straightforward, is this Mailvelope. It's an extension for Chrome or Firefox, and so I recommend it. I've tested it out with Chrome thoroughly, and it works very, very well on all webmails that I've seen. So there hadn't been one that has failed, but I'll show you the list here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and share screen now. I know you guys have been waiting for me to do this, but let's see. Where is my... Oh no, where's my window? Do I not have it on the screen? Hold on a second. Let me find it again. Here we are. Okay, so why can't I share that?
Please wait while Michael figures out how to computer.
Okay, there we go, folks. Okay,
On the
so,
screen with your public IP.
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to make this as straightforward as possible. So basically, let's go over the steps again. So you want to basically go to, oh, I didn't put the link in for that, so let me do that as well. GPG4Win. So step 1, to install that using the defaults. Accept all defaults. And this does not include anything malicious. It's completely free, and it does not bundle with any adware or spam or anything like that. It's completely safe. And then step 2 is the Mailvelope, as I mentioned previously. And that's the easiest installation in the world. That's done from the web store. And I will... let me see here. Yeah, it's from the Chrome web store. Let me copy that link. Yeah, I guess that'll work. And it's also for Firefox. But straight on that Mailvelope page, you can get either of those, and they're very slick and very cool. I'm going to show you currently the interface as it will show up in Chrome. And that gets back to this window that I have shared here. Basically, this is just a test account that I have signed in through Gmail. I don't know if you can notice here, but this is the Mailvelope icon. And there's not a whole lot you need to do here. You can usually detect it, and it'll tell you if it's which editor is activated up there. But basically, you've got a couple of things. You've got the options here, and the first thing you want to do is you want to generate a key, because you won't have a key. I'm assuming we're going through from the get-go. If you already have a key, we can import it in at this screen here, but generally you'll want to generate your own key. Now, I've already done this, but you'll basically put in your name, my name here, me@there.com. The advanced options are something you don't even have to worry about. They're already maxed out. You can't change the algorithm, and the bit level is already maxed, and it's set to never expire. So nothing really you want to even mess around in that. And then go ahead and set a password to protect the keys that you'll be generating. And then once your keys are created, you'll see them listed. and it'll default. The first one you add will be defaulted there. Now, you won't be able to communicate with people via email unless they already have a key. So you'll need to share keys with them. I'll get into that a little bit later, but you're going to need to figure out some mechanism to for the public keys from one person to another to communicate with them. And maybe this is a good point to go back on a little bit of detail about the background of PGP. PGP, let's see. Pretty good privacy. I'm sure you guys have heard of it or seen it written down. It's basically a data encryption and decryption program that was originally offered by Phil Zimmerman in 1991, and it uses a public key. Use public key cryptography basically to allow you to, and what that means is that each person has two keys and they want to communicate. One person, you publish what you want people to communicate with you. You publish a public key, and you keep a private key. You use that private key to decrypt messages. I don't know if it helps to display this window, but you can look up the PGP.
Always use your import keys window. All we see is your Mailvelope window right now, if you were trying to show off a different window.
Oh, yeah, no, but I just wanted to point people to some information about PGP to give them a background a little bit about how it works. I'm not going to go into the gritty details, but basically, go ahead.
An easy way to think about it is that the public key that you have is kind of like your lock to give everybody else. So you give people your public key.
Yeah, you can publish that even on your website if you wanted to.
And they use that to lock anything that they want to send to you.
Send to you, yeah. And in order to encrypt something, they use their private key and your public key to send it to you.
And then they send you that encrypted thing, and the only way to unlock that encrypted thing is with your private key.
Yeah, you use their public key and your private key to decrypt that. You basically need two keys, and this basically authenticates the person you're communicating with. So not only do you have your data protected, the contents of your data protected in a very high-level encryption that's not going to be broken, but you also have the identity of the recipient essentially confirmed, and that keeps the whole chain of communication secure. And this is, obviously if you're using something like a VPN, as we spoke about in a previous episode, all the communication going across that VPN is going to benefit from the encryption used on it. But I think email is, I don't know why this mentality got out there, but people thought email is like traditional mail, where there's laws protecting against opening of mailboxes and tampering with other people's mail, and it just goes from point A to point B undisturbed. That's not how email works. Go ahead,
Real
Brett.
quick, you only need the public key to encrypt something. You only need the private key to decrypt something. So you don't have, it's not encrypted with their public key, it's encrypted with your public key.
Yeah, but you have to send it to someone, and it's always a key pair. It's always a key pair. It's always a key pair that's used. It's a key pair. You have to have both the person's public key and your private key on your system to encrypt something. But anyway, that's all covered under the Wikipedia article, effectively, that I sent out. But I'm not going to go into the background of it. Let's just get into the actual usage so people can benefit from applying encryption to their email. So going back to Mailvelope, once you have your key generated, and I'd also, of course, like I said, I'll get back to it later, but you can import some keys here too. But once you have your keys generated, that's pretty much all the configuration that's necessary inside this. So we will close that, and this is my Gmail window. I'm sorry, I have a darker color theme here, but I'm just going to hit the Compose button. And you're going to see something unusual, and that is this little box here. And I don't know if it's going to be helpful, but actually, no, that's fine. Here we go. So you hit this little box, and this is where you compose your message. So you're not going to compose it as you would traditionally down there, but you will address it to who you're going to send it to, somebody, and whatever. So when we get here, we're presented with a composition window. By default, it'll support HTML, so there really shouldn't be any restrictions on what you can place there. But
We don't see that window. We still see your Gmail window screen.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's gonna be a problem then. Let me stop that and.
While he works that out, I do want to make it clear, because this is the part of the confusion that causes such a problem with this key pair thing. So basically, this is you on the left, you have a public key and a private key. You keep that private key completely secure from anyone and everyone. You send out the public key, and then they can take that public key and encrypt it. They don't have to use their own.
Yeah.
They don't have to use their own private key. They're just using the public key to encrypt that message. Then they send you that encrypted message with your public key, and you use your private key to unlock that message and view the plain text.
How do they, Bradley? Explain to me how they guarantee where the transmission is going if they just use a public key, if they just, or how they guarantee who it's coming from when they send that using a public key, not where it's going to. Sorry, where it's coming from.
I don't know, but you don't have to have that.
That's important. Okay, so this goes into signing a message versus encrypting a message. The encryption, I believe he's correct. The signing of it is where your private key gets involved. I suppose that's optional, but since I opened this up with it being a end-to-end secure communication on both, where both the sender and the receiver, I think it's very important to discuss that as well in this context, and that's how I would recommend doing it. But
so yeah, that's where I was saying it becomes confusing to people, is having these public.
Well, the point is this, and I think if you want to simplify it, the usage of the keys are critical, but it's not to use this technology. It's not critical to understand some of those differences. What is important to understand is that you share, just like it would be implied by the name, your public key. You do not share your private key. Pretty straightforward. You do need to have somebody's public key, though, to do what we're talking about here. Okay? So right now, just because I only have one key in my system, the only person I'm going to be able to send this to is myself. Okay? I'm not going to be able to send a mail outside unless I have somebody's public key. Again, we'll get into how you may obtain a public key a little bit later, but for right now, let's just go over this. So now you can see my composition window, correct?
Yep.
Where the hell is my composition window? Oh, there it is. Can you still see it? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So this is a test. I'm going to have a really short and simple message, right? Okay, whatever. So simple to perform. You just hit this encrypt button. You choose who you're gonna do. You can, if you
we
need
don't
to.
see any of that window. All we see is the compose mail window.
Oh, okay. So anyway, you're presented. I can't share the screen, unfortunately, but you're presented with a screen that just asks you. It shows you the keys that you have available. And you pick the key. I only have one available, so I'm just picking. I'm just picking my key. And so I'll just hit, my key is already selected by default because there's only one there. And the first one you add is always the one that's going to show up by default. But again, you'll need a recipient. You'll select your one from that screen. You'll hit OK, and that's it. That's all that needs to be done. Can you see the context now? What's in here?
Nope. All we see is a blank compose mail.
Maybe you're not on the same. one. Hold on. Gosh darn it.
It really would be easier if you just clear all the windows from one screen and do this on one screen. Share that whole screen.
So this is, I apparently opened up a couple of one. This is what I wanted to show you guys. I can't tell. Here we go.
While he's doing that, if you're on YouTube or G+, join us at foolishtechshow.com or foolishit.com/live. You can jump into our IRC chat and talk with us, ask us questions about this or about anything.
Anyway, let me undo this again. So we're back. This is my original message. I'm going to hit the encrypt button. As you guys can see now, you can see it.
Yep.
This is the only key that I have currently, and it's already selected there. But you would want your recipient's key in here, and we'll go over that later. But go ahead and click OK, and that's all that's necessary to do. At this point, you'll hit this transfer button again. And that will push it back into, and I'll switch the screen back, but that will push it back into the webmail client. So let me switch to that. Should be right here. And now that we're back into the webmail client, you can see we could just hit send, and that would be the extent of making that happen. I'm going to go ahead and send it to myself. So, this is the message. This will be the reception process. So you'll see that when you have the plugin installed, this is what you'll get. You do that, and then you use the password that you stored for your key. This is what it's sort of like your access to your key. So this is confirming that it's you. So you want to, a good password here in case somebody actually gets physical hold of your computer. You don't want them to be able to send out messages or decrypt your messages. It says remember to ask for template early. I mean, that's up to you, whatever. But hit OK, and oh, look at that. Now I can see the contents of it. So that's basically the process. It makes it very, very simple through a webmail interface to accomplish that. But there are going to be some concerns about sharing your key, and that's what we'll cover right now. Am I stopped sharing? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So let me just get to where I was. So you could use public key servers. These are places that store keys. There's a link to some public key servers. You could submit yours here, and people could pull it down. I don't necessarily recommend that. I believe you could use traditional mail to send your key to somebody else. And if you go again to
traditional mail, like I can throw it in the envelope and mail it over.
Oh, well, yeah, you actually could if you just, you'd have to type it out, but
can't copy and paste that.
No, excuse me. I meant traditional email is what I was.
Unencrypted email.
Yeah, unencrypted email.
And that's one thing I always like to point out to people is that your email, as it is basically like sending a postcard.
Yeah, it's plain text. Anybody can flip it over and look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody that mail goes through, and you don't even know your email when you send it out through Gmail. If you're sending it to another domain that's not Gmail, because normally the same domain will internalize it normally, but if you send an email out, it's bouncing all around the world. It doesn't take just a straight path to that person or that person's email server. It bounces through several different email servers around the world, possibly. So you never know where your email is going and who's able to read it. So having unencrypted email is just like sending a postcard. So if you wouldn't want to put something on a postcard and send it through the mail, don't send it through email.
Exactly, folks. Now I just wanted to get over here back to this in the configuration screen. This is just basically once you hit the Mailvelope icon and go to options, you get and you click on display keys, you get this. This is where you would export your key, and this is basically what you would send somebody. And you could save it as a file. Now this is going to be, now notice what this is exporting though. It's your public key block and your private key block. You do not want to share your private key block with anyone. Okay? So it's just the public key block is the part that you want. So keep that in mind if you're using this export function to share your keys. This is mostly this was designed obviously for your personal backup, not for particularly sharing, but it's an easy way to get access to what you would need to send somebody an email. And you basically just copy and paste everything beginning and ending with the in the public key section, as you can hopefully see here. Did I go too far? I can't see what I'm doing.
Yeah, just don't do the private key part.
Yeah,
and don't download it. The download's only for your backup. Just the public key part is for sending out.
Yeah, so basically that part here, not the bottom part. Let's see. Yeah, there's public key servers for sharing. You can do general mail. You could post it to your website. You could post it to your Facebook page. You know, spread it far and wide. If you want people to communicate with you over encrypted means using PGP, you need to get this out to everyone that you communicate with. And so, however you accomplish that, because it doesn't need to be secure at all. However you accomplish that is really up to you. There are some mechanisms like those public key servers that help allow the interchange of that information, but it's pretty simple. And since there's these plugins that are just trivial, just completely trivial to set up, I really don't think that there's an excuse why people shouldn't be encrypting it, particularly in light of all the scandals that we hear with emails, the Snowden emails, the Hillary Clinton emails, everyone is saying, and not to say you may love or hate Edward Snowden, but he has at least beneficially brought encryption to the forefront. That understand that he's made us aware that our government and others, are potentially looking at the contents of those messages, and if they are, you got to be sure that anybody else running a server out there, potentially in another country, could easily, if your mail gets bounced around to it, and that's how the internet works, it'll send it any way it can to get to its final destination. Any mail server it passes through could potentially, peek in on that. Now, that's a lot of data, and they may not be looking for you, but I guarantee you, if you're a
person of interest.
A person of interest, exactly, like some of those people, you will. And if you hold a position in government, or if you hold a job that you're fine, or you expect your...
That makes people feel bad. I want to be a person of interest.
Okay, well, anybody, everyone is a person of interest when it comes to criminals. Everyone's a potential victim.
You're all a person of interest to someone. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, and it may be a more petty criminal versus an international fiend or crook or something like that. But basically, you could be targeted, and you don't want your communication. I mean, most people would love their email to be private, and most people consider it to be that way now. And that's just not true. And so to kind of fill that, to correct that problem, you would use something like this, very simply, very easily. All it does is require two little things, like I said, the GNU PG4Win and the plugin. and I posted links to all those, so I encourage you to set that all up. Now, Enigmail, it's basically the same. It's not very difficult to do. You just do this from within Thunderbird. I didn't really want to go into it unless you want to fire it up. I hate doing the screen share. 30 minutes is hard enough for me. You want to?
Well, it's always puzzled me that this isn't used more.
But
It's been around for a long time. It's been fairly easy to use.
Been around since 1991. As I said, Phil Zimmerman.
it's the part that it's not as easy to use and like even right now, it still seems like a complex process versus just creating an email and sending it.
Oh, I think after I had the what did you find that was difficult about that?
It's just something that you feel like should be done in the background. Like your public key should go out with any email that you send, and then people are easily able to have access to it, and then
You could just include it as a part of your signature.
Yeah, you could include it as part of your signature, and that's fine. That's what a lot of people do.
yeah, share it as a Dropbox file or something like that. But like,
Well, it doesn't have to be a
feels
file.
it feels like it should be something that's more in the background. Like email servers should be handling all of this encryption, so that it's not,
But then how would you trust an email server to hold your private key? I think that's the
well, no, that's part of it. Like when you set it up, you set up your private key, and I mean you have to trust someone at some point because that's what BitLocker with the full hard drive encryption. Your private key is saved on Microsoft servers. Symantec is the other commercial option for doing that, and that's the other thing too.
Yeah, that's
People
true.
are very good at backing up, so if they lose that private key or just delete it accidentally, all of those emails that they have encrypted with that, they're no longer able to access. So, like,
Well, and these are the downsides, I guess, and they're fair. Nothing that Brantley just said is incorrect. However, there's
I think
always a price to
maybe the
pay
most
for
difficult part about it is
security.
you have to get two people to do something. You have to do something, and you have to get someone else to do something.
yeah.
Well, I
And
know, but
that's
that's
extremely difficult.
required. Hey, let's go back to the basics. If you're talking about a secure channel of communication, that's always going to have to take place one way or the other. And the
Right.
only reason we have the convenience of email the way it is today, and the reason why we don't have to have all this, go through all this, is because it is so insecure, because it is so not private, it's so public. And that, of course, makes it easy. Whenever you add privacy and security into the equation, it creates a lot of loopholes. Now, why do you think, like, my brother works for a
do like
bank?
having it as the offsite one.
What, Brantley?
I prefer not having it like the integrated through webmail thing. But then that again comes with its other issues. Like I read a lot of emails on my phone. How am I going to be decrypting it on my phone?
Well,
And then I have to store my private key on my phone, which phones get stolen all the time.
well, I mean, I
Right.
wouldn't. First of all, I wouldn't use the phone for secure communication. I would use a one that you can guarantee is connected to a protected network. So again, you're always going to have to balance convenience versus your privacy and security. Okay. Now, if you don't have to buy a lock and put a lock on your door. You don't have to you don't have to do any of that stuff. But it's in your best interest to. And so many people agree that I don't think that they sell many doors that don't have locks, actually. So, you're gonna.
PGP is, if I remember, it's all-in-one setup. Like you don't need any of that stuff, right?
What is Brantley? Didn't hear you.
The PGP4Win that Michael posted there.
Uh huh.
That is like a all-in-one setup, so you don't actually need a plug-in or any of that stuff. You can do it all from your straight computer.
Not true. You would still need something to interact with your mail client.
I thought it had a decryptor in it so that you could just paste that PGP block into it.
Command line. You still definitely want an interface for it.
Let's go through and set that up, because that's the bigger important part, I would thought.
Oh, really? Go through and set that up. Why don't you?
I am.
I've already set it up several times.
You had to set it up several times?
No, I mean, I just went through the installation a couple times. Several times.
So you set it up several times.
There is no setup. It's just defaults. There's nothing you have to change or do.
Alright, so we'll share my screen here.
And it's not PGP4Win. You realize that I'm talking about.
GPG.
Huh?
GPG.
Yeah, GPG.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But if you Google for PGP for win, their first result is GPG for win. So I made that mistake when I was looking for
that's
it.
good. That's good to know. And it's GNU Privacy Guard for Windows. GNU Privacy Guard for Windows is the.
Alright, so we just downloaded GPG4Win. And we're going to go through the setup here.
What level encryption does this use, Michael?
4096-bit RSA.
Yeah, we'll put it on my desktop.
Hey, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Real quickly, I know it's been a minute, but I've got that guy's that one invoice found in Zoho subscriptions. When I'm canceling it, is it mark as inactive? Is that all I've got to do? I can't find an actual cancel thing.
No. It's Hold on a second. So
It's been so long since I've done it.
Yeah, under Zoho Subs, you have to click on the actual subscription, and then once you have the subscription selected, let me see if I can do this.
Okay.
Yeah, then there's a cancel immediately button, I believe, and it's or I don't know what I'm looking at.
Change subscription. I see that one.
It's not going to be change subscription. It's going to be from the more menu. I believe you pull it down, and there's a something.
Okay, I've got it.
You got it. You found it.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. So we went through the install here, and then we ran the GPA, the Privacy Assistant Key Manager. And first thing it asked us was to generate a key now.
Oh, that's right. I didn't install the key manager. Why did that happen?
And we'll create a backup. Enter in the passphrase.
Notice how they don't say passwords anymore, passphrase on their really cool, secure stuff, because that's what it should be. It should be much longer than a word.
We're going to save it into our documents. Alright, so a copy of my secret key or private key is stored here.
Yeah, and this is the same thing you would do from the export, and this is what I was showing you guys with the export stuff previously.
And it's saying I should put it on a USB stick to be kept in a safe place, like a uncrackable safe, because those exist. And now we have my key here. I have an option to send keys. What does this do? So you can send your key straight through this manager, and that's sending my public key out. Oh, they sent it to some server somewhere. Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you about. It was those public key servers. Yeah. And I sent a link to one of those. It was the one I was showing you guys is pool.sks.keyservers.net, but theirs is actually run by the GPG people.
Let's see what that gave us. Alright, so when you export it from here, which I just right-clicked and said export keys, that will export the public key to a file here. So that's my public key block. So I can now send this file out to everyone. I can host it on a web server, put it in.
Just put it in your signature.
Dropbox, put it in my signature.
Yeah, the signature. I kind of like the signature idea.
That makes your signature extremely long.
People put pictures in their signatures, so I'm not so sure that that's that big of a deal.
Just make some random file name.
Actually, from what I've seen, everybody seems to default to the ASC extension, but
Let's go ahead first.
I really don't think it matters, but as a rule of thumb, that's what they've all seemed to. Even mine was defaulting to that.
So now I have a public key that I can send out to everyone, do everything with, and people can encrypt things and send it to me. I think this is what I was talking about. Actually, does
No, this is the Cleopatra. This is the certificate. What's that message? I didn't see that. Oh, you got to close the privacy assistant first. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that doesn't help me any.
No, but like I said, you'll need a third. You'll need another piece to make this really functional for you. Because I mean, look, you can encrypt and decrypt right there, but it's not gonna help you send email. My goal was to because there's lots of secure ways already to communicate. You don't have to use this, but this particularly is a great way to integrate with email. And without without something to bridge that gap between these strings and stuff, it's going to get really hokey to manage it on your own. I mean, you can do it, and Brantley's probably going to do it right here, but yeah, it's not nearly as straightforward as a couple of clicks like it was with the other one.
Yeah, and that's where I was saying it gets really difficult because nothing is an all-in-one solution.
And if you use Thunderbird, Enigmail is the way you want to go, and either the Mailvelope, one of those, Firefox or Chrome, there again, you're limited. If you wanted to use Edge all the time, these webmail plugins aren't going to work for you. And that's why traditionally, prior to Mailvelope and stuff like that coming out, the only option was honestly something that would integrate into Thunderbird. Microsoft certainly wasn't typically going to open that up to people.
That's not for dummies. It doesn't have any pictures.
Yeah. Anyway, I still recommend the approach that I was referring to hit the ground running as fast as possible. And again, inserting your key public key into a signature or posting it on your website or Facebook page or something like that is great for getting it out there. And if you send people the Lifehacker article I shared with you, that has enough pictures and enough walkthrough to make this work.
So this link looks like it kind of goes through and shows you how to do it, pictures and all. And essentially, you just use this to manage all of your keys. You can encrypt things directly, and then paste it into your email, which, I mean, is about the same thing as what Michael's little tool did there.
Yeah.
It's just you're able to manage it all over one program.
Well, I like the fact that, yeah, it takes care of the key management for you, those plugins, as well as the encryption and decryption part. But you know, he's right. He's absolutely right. That is basically what's going on in the back end of those things. What he was showing you there.
That was the big issue that I had, was that I worked for a company that did home hospice and mental patient. Like, they dealt with a lot of medical
Very
stuff.
sad.
They're all
Very sad.
under HIPAA compliance, which means their communications need to be secure and encrypted. And basically, I tried to show them how to do this using the tools that were available, and basically the same tools are available now. And it was too much, too complex, too much for everybody to get on the same page for. So
it's very hard after the fact to make something like email that was originally not meant with security at all in mind. It's very hard to go after the fact and say, hey, now we want to put security on top of that. But I digress. Anyway, go ahead.
Not only do you digress, you interrupt right in the middle of someone talking. Kind of extremely aggravating. Because I was trying to say that I gave them the option. I was like, look, either we have to do this complex setup, or you can't send any kind of information via email at all. Don't send any patient information. Don't send any kind of information about your schedules, your appointments, anything through email, because it's completely unencrypted. There's no way to secure it other than doing something like this. So that's what we did. We didn't use email at all for those type of communications.
Yeah, I don't think people want to give up, though, email. If you're ready to throw away email, we may be, and some people may be. You know, that's fine. But I think people still want that, and they want a viable option to add what is sorely lacking into it. But maybe the better option for people like you who are, you know, too lazy to manually encrypt their emails is to, you know, do what you were suggesting and I was suggesting previously, and that's a VPN. But I really don't think it's nearly as bad as you make it out. I mean, surely those
there was something that came out
two three-step process.
This was something that came out yesterday. I was impressed with. I think it was yesterday. It was sometime this past week. The Tor Messenger Beta uses the off-the-record messaging protocol and lets you talk to people via Tor through somewhat encrypted means, I believe. I just wanted to throw that out. That was interesting.
Yeah, I don't think HIPAA facilities will be implementing Tor Messenger Beta anytime soon, but sure.
I mean, it's basically doing the same thing.
This is anonymity, not encryption so much.
The off-the-record protocol is
encrypted? Okay.
I believe. Again, I haven't looked much into it.
I'm just curious as how those messaging clients that it interoperates with are able to automatically decrypt something that comes from this. And how can you verify
off-the-record encryption?
And how do you verify the sender and receiver?
I don't know. That's what they should be doing with these protocols in the background, which is what off-the-record messaging appears to do. So maybe we can set that up on one show and show how that works and go over some details for it. Something else PhilTheX brought up to our attention, AutoRuns released an update yesterday.
Oh, really? What'd they add?
Put in the thing here. I don't know, it didn't look like they really added much, but...
Not really. Well, I looked at the release notes. It was good. They have a new SIG check and a couple of things, actually.
Nothing mind-blowing.
Well, I'm always gonna love AutoRuns, I think, till the day I die. But you know, any improvements is welcome. But it's very solid at this point in time. If anybody, I don't recall a bug ever being in AutoRuns, frankly. But it's been around a long time, and it's a solid tool, and that's why it's fully integrated with Entity 7.2. And we like to think of defunct sort of as like AutoRuns with some, you know, file management as well, with file system scanning as well. It got real quiet, guys.
Here's an app for Android and iOS. I haven't looked much into it, but it's called Cyphr. It says it's encrypted messaging simplified.
But you know that I mean, you could probably use that that plugin on mobile Chrome. So
Mobile Chrome doesn't take plugins from the web store.
it doesn't? Oh. Does Firefox?
So yeah, it looks like this thing does probably what it was. And it makes things a little bit simpler. So that's something else to check out. So there's a few options that you can look into.
But again, these are not emails. None of these are email.
It's going to be basically, well, I mean, email's insecure in general. So like you said, you can't go back and add security to something. We need to go forward and move away from the crap that is.
Again, you're talking about deprecating email, and I don't see that happening anytime soon.
It needs to be done.
I admit it would have been nicer, but in the meantime, until it goes away, I believe the only solution is something like PGP.
Just like we've deprecated Proctor on sending us snail mail.
Okay.
I'm going to cut down a tree with that comment.
Yeah, no, wait, write that on a piece of paper and stick it in the mail, and we'll get that shortly.
So, yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to have you go over this segment, is to see if it had become any easier and made it nicer.
I'm impressed with its improvements. You're right. It was starting out as and that's why I frankly never really did it myself, is because you're right. It was a large entry curve. I think it has been simplified. I think it has been improved. But it's, you know, it isn't huge. I mean, it isn't like one step. I don't think it ever will be, just based upon the nature of it. But it's not that difficult to accomplish, and I think we covered all the bases. And for people that want to go that route, who depend upon email, if you don't depend upon email, there's lots of other alternatives, and emailing through a VPN is acceptable. So, you know, I don't know. I just don't like.
That's not acceptable either, though, because it leaves your VPN endpoint and then becomes unencrypted for everyone to see.
Oh, if you have a mail server, well, yeah, I guess so. What about? Yeah, I guess if you only send within your company, and it never leaves your mail server, then it's encrypted. But but yeah, if it ever left to go out over the internet, yeah, you would.
Yeah. So that's, again, it's hard to add it to something that's already in place, like you said. So.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
but that's also why it hasn't been widely accepted, and why it's been out for so long, even though it's been a proven technology, no one's still using it, because that compromise of security versus convenience is still security way up here, convenience way down here. If it was a balanced security versus convenience,
I would argue you can't balance. You can only balance that so much, though.
Yeah, but it can't be like this. It has to be a little bit closer that people are willing to trade off for this little extra.
No, well, the only way to do that is, again, to move to a completely different means of communication. And, that's probably a good thing, but it's not going to be a proprietary chat protocol, And I'm not so sure that instant messaging is even considered to be a reliable form of communication anyway. I don't think anybody uses it in that manner.
People use instant messaging for reliable communication all the time.
No, not reliable. Did I say reliable? Maybe I didn't mean reliable. But what I'm getting at is we're not sending important documents over that. But people do send important, sensitive information over email. You typically don't go into a chat program and start typing in your social security number or whatever, but you'll frequently email back and forth to your boss, if you have a form that you need to fill out that happens to have your social security number on it.
Yeah, and those are the other kind of things, because people don't even realize that they don't need to be sending that through an unencrypted means. And most people think that email is like sending an enveloped letter, which is why I always like to point out that it's like sending a postcard.
Well, I started out with that too. Absolutely, it's you're thinking that it has the security mechanisms that are in place for traditional snail mail, and it's not. And that security is not all that great, actually, if you look at it. But at least there are laws associated with it.
Yeah. So people can't tamper with your mail and not have consequences. Here,
at least if someone does tamper with your mail, you can probably tell that they tampered with your mail.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Better chance of telling, though, than email. And most people aren't skilled enough to know what to look for in that.
I mean, a lot of your things are moving to encrypted sending and receiving mail, like your IMAP stuff is normally over an encrypted channel.
Mm-hmm.
Your SMTP sending is normally over an encrypted channel. So they are trying to move towards that, but those encryptions are very, very, very weak compared to this PGP encryption style.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Those types of encryptions, as they're working on, have to be extremely high performance, and again, it's a sacrifice of speed and security. They're going for a little bit more speed for the volume to do it for everybody without.
And that's the other side of it, is if people are spending a portion of their time sending back and forth keys and encrypting and decrypting, you're losing performance out of that. So that's another reason why it hasn't gone to the point of mass.
Yeah, but again, compromise. It's always going to be a situation of performance and security, or ease and security, or some other human weakness versus security.
Yeah, but like I was saying in mine, like trying to convince my boss that we needed to train all of these people on this, which takes time. Then we need to have.
Oh, I agree. Just say no if you're in an authoritative position to be able to just say no. Then you do that. It hurts to do it that way. Well, don't do it that way. So yeah, don't use email, and I think that's great. Maybe that probably made those people more aware of the insecurities of email than most.
Yeah.
And so that may be actually a good thing. But there's going to be people that are going to be willing to compromise to allow this. Again, minimal minimal inconvenience. And on a per message basis, once I get the key, the work is done. And the keys are so easily shared. They're text. They can be shared through any means of communication. We have, as you know, 1,000 different ways to communicate with people these days. And so I really don't see the sharing of those keys as an issue. And promote the use of PGP in email.
This is what I was. I mean, this is actually a little bit better way to do it. Like I was saying, just using this one tool, it handles all your keys together. So you'd import other people's public key and then use it, and then you could do things like
So again, somebody sends you. Okay, so what happens when somebody sends you an encrypted email? What do you have to do? You have to copy and paste it into this thing to decrypt it. Yeah, I don't see people wanting to do that.
But what I was going to say is you can send regular emails and just encrypt a file. So like we can take this Spiceworks exe and encrypt that using my public key. If I wanted people to know that it hadn't been tampered with, then I can sign it with my private key, and then they'd have to have my public key to unencrypt it. But just having this, I would only have to have their public key. I could say OK, and then it's going to encrypt that file.
As you can see, it's not terribly fast. It's very slow encryption, 4096-bit encryption.
It's been so long since I've seen that.
That is cool.
So now it has that file encrypted, and then I can send that to people. So now I can go into my downloads, and this file is the same thing as this file, it's just encrypted, so no one can access that, which this would be a better way to send documents via email, because now you can just attach that email, say here's the file you were looking for, these are the droids you were looking for, and then they can just open it in their file manager and then decrypt it as long as they have your public key in their key ring. Or they have their private key already in their key ring, so they're just able to decrypt it. So I think that works out a little bit easier because, again, having it all in one application makes it simpler to me. Because having it in an email application, like, you're not always positive what's going on, and I don't ever use webmail, actually. I only check email through my phone and stuff, so.
I only use webmail exclusively.
So, and that's what you have to keep in mind. So, like, I know that if I need something encrypted or decrypted, I have to go to this one application to manage all that. That seems a little bit easier.
Versus just going to your regular mail clients. Okay, whatever. To each their own.
Yep. So the other thing about encryption is full disk encryption.
Oh, does that do HTML? That might be something to consider.
What?
Does it allow you to see the HTML? Probably not. Well, I'm saying for an email, you might want to be sending graphics and pictures and HTML content in your email, and that's going to be very difficult to get an idea of what that's going to be like. And
test all of that out, but I'm not going to. So yeah, I think the biggest thing that we've come to agree on is that email needs to be deprecated, and they need to come up with a better.
Well, I'm not advocating deprecating email anytime soon, but yes, it is an insecure. We can agree that it is an insecure means of communication, and you have to take your privacy and the contents of your message. You have to take it to heart, and you have to protect it yourself out there. There's nobody else that's going to do that for you, and that's why some of these things involve a couple of extra steps than it normally would. But setting up a whole new method of communication is is a big undertaking as well, and is probably more expensive. Nothing's ideal about any of this, though. But that's the world we live in today, I suppose, where everybody wants to steal from you.
Another good example of emails being insecure and an issue, even on a private internal email-only server, is I was just looking into the Stratford hack last night, and that was something done by Antisec, the anonymous spin-off group, and they broke into Stratford, which is kind of like a public CIA, like it's a for-profit CIA that the government contracts out to a lot of times, and they were hacked into and had over 5 million emails stolen, and then subsequently posted to WikiLeaks, and a lot of information was in there about things that they didn't want the public to know.
Absolutely. Remember the Sony emails? Remember the Sony emails with all that with that movie, the North Korea movie, and all that?
But this is more of things like Trapwire, which uses CCC or CC television, or the cameras set up in public places to identify and track people based on assumptions of wrongdoing and things like
Minority Report assumptions of wrongdoing.
Yeah. And like a chemical leak in India that killed 20,000 people. Those kind of leaks are a little bit more important. And if they had been encrypting it, we would have never known about it.
Yeah, if they just decided, oh, maybe email isn't, I'm sending secure information. All those people knew the sensitivity of the information they were sending. The very fact that they were doing it through emails is deplorable. It's just, especially for an organization that is, again, entrusted to deal with sensitive information. HIPAA compliance, they should have to, do 10 times worse than that. And I don't quite understand why they're not required to do that. And that's where our legal system really is a problem. We don't have...
Well, HIPAA compliance is kind of a lot of technical terms, and they do a lot of things, but essentially what it all boils down to is all of your digital information has to be encrypted. And that's what I gathered from all of my research on it, is that basically you have to have secure encryption during transport and for limited access to that information. So only the people that need to know can know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's exactly what it's there to do. And those are the reasons why, PGP would have been an effective means to do that if they had to rely upon email. But
so if you want something kept secret, just have the conversation in person in your underground layer.
Exactly. You know what? I think this
not
does
just
go
layers.
back
It doesn't need to be a bunker. Just layers.
Your bat cave.
Bat cave, local bat cave. Just remember,
in your secret
just
underground
don't tell
bunker.
anybody about this bat cave, because they're going to be knocking at your door.
And after you tell them, you have to kill them so that they don't know where the location was.
Well, you can blindfold them on the way there. That's pretty good.
They could be blind already, and in which case they could figure out how to get to there by just listening to the sounds.
That's why you don't take a direct route.
Blind to do that either. That's what I was going to say, is that they could just listen to it.
Oh yeah, you don't actually have to be. Not suggesting you gouge their eyes out before you take it to the back cave, but whatever. Anyway, it's just just be secure. There's we're a very lazy society. We appreciate convenience of communication, simplicity, instantaneous communication. There was a time where you had to wait, to to talk to somebody. Wait for a phone to ring. Wait for just some sort of communication means to open up. And
Bring
now
back carrier pigeons.
You can blindly send text. You can do all sorts of stuff. Yeah, well, carrier pigeons. That's another thing that I wish didn't die out.
Well, that's real secure. Pigeons got to stop to eat somewhere. It's not like they're like, oh, I see this worm. Nope, I got a mission.
No, absolutely, they are.
Yeah, but nowadays,
they're more secure than the mailman sometimes.
For a pigeon, the only thing you got to worry about is something eats them on the way.
Or shoots them out of the air.
Well, which is such a common practice. Pigeons.
Nobody really shoots at pigeons anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
they do if they know that you're communicating via a pigeon.
And how are they going to know this? Are they going to have the binoculars to see the little note tied to their leg or whatever?
Yeah. There was actually a show I was watching recently that they did that because they knew the person was communicating via pigeon carrier, and they waited for them to send out the pigeon.
All right, encrypted smoke signals. Encrypted smoke signals.
Yeah, coming up with your own code is probably the best way, even though code...
I was getting ready to say that. Everybody needs to invent their own Enigma machine.
Yeah,
effectively, yeah. Well, this is hopefully better than Enigma because that was broken pretty quickly. But
once we got a hold of one,
yeah,
we weren't able to break the code until we actually got an Enigma machine.
That's true.
Even then, it was quite difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay. With enough time, all those things can be solved.
And if you're using your own encryption that absolutely only one or two other people know, and they're the ones you're communicating with using it, it's going to really know.
Yeah, I know, but trained cryptographers, that's the thing. They don't necessarily have to know how something is encrypted to be able to deduce how to decrypt it, and that was, of course, a big puzzle that applied to Enigma as well.
Yes, but they're going to spend a lot of time trying to decipher the sentence, "The monkey poops twice at midnight."
Yeah, I agree that
many things.
But you do have to break it down to time, and so if somebody could effectively brute force guess their way to it, how quickly can they guess, and how much time do you want to allow them to guess before you consider it to be an effective, encryption or not?
Well,
so
the thing with, at least with the Enigma machine, is they were always changing it.
Yeah. Too bad they always repeated the same words in the same sentence at the beginning of every communication.
It was a good idea, but we can learn from their mistakes. You got to remember, this was the 30s when they made this.
This is true. This is true. We know a lot more now about those types of things. And we have quantum means of encryption now too, where even the
supposedly.
Well. Not supposedly. We actually have them in place, but they're very expensive, and they have to be connected that way across distances.
Quantum computer is from.
There's no quantum computers. It's not about a quantum computer. It's about a quantum communication means. So you can redirect, and they've done this between several countries in Europe, but they've been able to send information from banks, and big banks do actually do this. They use those types of things, but it's incredibly expensive because you have to build the link, the communication link between the places you want to do it. And then but if anybody were to peek at that link, it would destroy it. Basically, you would know.
Then they'd have to rebuild it.
No, they would just know to throw away those communications at that point, and they would know that it was broken into. So they wouldn't have to redo it necessarily. Well, oh yeah, I guess they would. Well,
they'd have to find.
No, they would just have to. Just assuming the person stopped, they would know when it was compromised when somebody was looking at it, but they would also know when they stopped looking at it, because then they could start using it again. They wouldn't necessarily have to rebuild it, as long as they weren't sending information when they knew somebody was listening in. So that's an advantage to that, and there's a reason why some of these major financial institutions are spending so much money on those types of things, because they are very concerned about secure communications. Just not many of them. Many of us have the millions of dollars at our disposal to implement something like that. But it has nothing to do with quantum computing. It just has to do with sending basically a laser beam through a splitter and sending it down a long fiber optic cable. That's basically it.
All right, so that was our show for today, I believe. Past our hour mark now, so thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, appreciate it.
My goodness, we're sorry about today's show, man. It's just Michael's day. You know how it is.
Well, excuse me. I don't think I have anything to apologize for. And I don't think I need to be derided for anything either.
There was a lot of good information in there, but we also had the information about how difficult it is to deal with these things nowadays. So.
Well, but you got to talk about the all of it. They got the full package. We're not trying to create a fantasy world for our viewers out there. We're trying to tell them what they can do to improve their situation, and obviously become at it with a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different perspectives. And the more we discuss it and the more the information gets out there, the better for everyone. So we don't talk about the topics that are just easy, although that would be great if everything were easy. But we talk about doing just what needs to be done to get your communication secure. And and this is just one step in the process. This does not mean that this is the only thing you need to do. And this really just covered email for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Well, it covered the other stuff, like I was showing you can encrypt files and.
Well, yeah, you can encrypt files, but I think everybody knows that.
Everyone did know you can do it with PGP stuff, though.
Well.
And encrypting a file with just a password is almost as insecure as the email current encryption transportation means.
Yeah, but if you
the key file thing makes things extremely secure as long as you keep that key secure.
Yeah, no, I public key.
And then even having that
cryptography,
key, you have to still brute force a passphrase on top of that.
Public key cryptography is probably the best. You're not talking about all those other standards, SSL and all that stuff. What it's doing doesn't even come close to the level of encryption that all these PGP employ. It's not so much the encryption, though. Again, it's that dual key, controlling and knowing the sender and the receiver. But it's the top tier, basically. Everything. It's the gold standard to which others compare themselves to. But as you saw, performance-wise, it's not terribly great because it's such a complicated long key, 4096-bit key. 256-bit SSH, doesn't even come close. So, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's still as complicated as it is because it is that gold standard of comparison. It's the best, and if people want to add this to email or to something else, as you were showing them, they can. But there's a lot of other lesser types.
I'd also like to point out that those are the type of things that aren't breakable by like the NSA or anything right now. Like they'd have to spend
very good point.
Years to decrypt your message without having your private key and password. So
it's not feasible, and in fact, probably more than a lifetime, a human lifetime. So it's
by the time they decrypt the information is going to be useless.
Worthwhile, exactly.
Well, I mean, if they're trying to decrypt it and they want to, they do have the means and resources to decrypt.
Well, it's a time. It's about time. I know they have some pretty amazing supercomputers at their disposal, but you're still talking about 4096 bits. You're talking about. I think I'm being conservative when I'm saying a human lifetime worth of computing power. It may very well be longer than that. In fact, let's do a quick search since we're still chatting here. How long would it take to brute
How
force
how many licks does it take to get to the center of it?
Okay, let's see.
In other news.
Okay, so it's 2 to the x minus 1, so that's 2 to the 4,095 number of convocation. That's a very big number.
Or if they're able to listen to the CPU as you encrypt it, they're able to crack it extremely easily.
Yeah, that's, again, if they have physical access to your computer, all bets are off.
They don't have to have physical access. They can use a parabolic microphone, which they did in this article. It's into the public chat.
I hear those beer bottles in there, man.
That's just me getting something out of my fridge, not beer.
Okay, here we go. It would take the combined processing power of every computer in the world thousands of years to crack a 4096-bit encryption, what's used in PGP. Every computer in the world running for thousands of years.
You mean at current, because not taken into that's not taken into Moore's law into account.
That's not
exactly.
That is, you're right. That is current, and but again, so 1,000 years to 500 years to
when quantum computers become standard, those will be able to break them in a fourth of that time.
Okay, they've just figured out how to create a gate, a basic gate for a quantum computer. That's still a long way off before they will have those commercialized. So I'm not too terribly worried about that in the short term, but you're right, it is something to consider, and you're right. And we'll have to rethink things then, obviously. But we're not trying to scare people out there. We're just trying to give them ways to improve their security. In fact, we should be helping them feel more secure. Again, the reason we're suggesting this, the best of the best encryption, is because we know it's not feasible for any person, any entity, any government to break this currently. Again, 5-10 years from now, I have no idea. I'm not a future seer. I can't predict.
That's why too. I feel like it comes back down to not having it automated. You have your weakest person, and
yeah, but the automation in and of itself.
Your encrypted communications to someone, if they've been flipped, then all bets are off again.
Yeah, but okay, I can foresee a day with the way you're describing, with everything. Surely, yeah, everything is encrypted, but everything is also instantly decrypted because you've shared everything with everybody, and there's 1,000 companies behind the scenes with your private keys holding them. And so it to me, I don't know that we should necessarily ever automate the system, particularly the exchanging of keys, because once you start to automate the exchange of keys, that completely destroys.
Well, exchanging the public key stuff should be, but the private key stuff should be only on your end, only on your system.
Well, again, as long as
on your system, like having a specific device made that reads your DNA code and creates your key off of that.
Mm-hmm. And then how would you share that information with everybody else to communicate with you?
You plug it into your USB drive and you hold your thumb on there, and it pricks.
Okay, and then you would create the public version of that key. You would just create the public version of that key. You would share the public version of that key.
Yeah.
And then and the decryption process would be.
Still hold your finger up to it, so we gotta come up with something that's destroyable. If you don't.
Yeah, there's holes in that system because are you.
It's going to have to be a
decrypting. How is it going to verify your signature if it doesn't have your signature stored somewhere to verify it against?
It's going to have to be a mind link where it decrypts your
mind
faults.
link, that might be interesting, but I'm sure if they listened in close enough to that too, they could probably listen to our neurons firing as well.
No. So you have to think a specific thing to be able to decrypt it, and your stress and body levels and emotional state has to be in a specific means to be able to decrypt.
I mean, that type of thing, you can't control that enough. So what would happen effectively is you'd always be generating new private keys every message you sent, and that would require a new public key every message you sent as well.
You would just have to pick a calm state and be able to.
Okay, so you have to master meditation first and be like a 1023rd level, whatever Buddhist or Zen person.
Like we said, it's a trade-off between security and.
This is true. Maybe, Tag, what do you think? Maybe we should just stop using technology to communicate and maybe just do it the old-fashioned ways,
You mean talking?
Yeah. Hey.
That's completely insecure too, though. Everybody can listen to someone talking.
Yeah.
Not if you're in your secret underground lair.
Well, that's what I was saying. It has to be a bunker. It can't just be a layer. It has to be a bunker that has like 6 feet worth of concrete surrounding you on all sides.
Why can't my lair have 6 feet worth of concrete?
Because then it would be a bunker.
But I want to call it a lair.
Well, I mean, if it's not blocking neutrinos, I'm not so sure it's effective. But
He has a bunker layer.
you need several thousand metric tons of heavy water surrounding your bunker. That would be sufficient.
What is heavy water?
Yes, because it's used in nuclear
deuterium or
weapons.
tritium or deuterium. It's basically water is H2O. It's basically like H3O and H.
It's a different molecular structure. There's something done to the water. It's used in nuclear stuff a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not water at that point, then it's.
It is. It's just chemically, it's
not water as we know it. It's chemically different, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And
the reason we call it, it's heavier. It literally has more. Actually, I'm sorry. It doesn't have any more helium atoms. It's not H4. It's all H2O. It just has more neutrons. That's. I'm sorry. I'm forgetting my basic science. It basically has more neutrons. So
it has more hydrogen in it.
H2. No, it doesn't. So H2O is water. Okay, and so if we just add a neutron, it's not going to. It's not going to change. It will change it ever so slightly, but it's still going to be water.
It's just deuterium. It's D2O instead of H2O. 2H2O.
Let me see. Deuterium, symbol D or 2H, also known as heavy hydrogen.
Deuterium
is one of two stable isotopes of the nucleus of deuterium called a deuteron. Contains one proton and one neutron, unlike a hydrogen atom, which doesn't have a neutron.
So it is completely different than water.
Yes, it's just called heavy water.
Yeah,
it's related though. It's like the difference between an owl and a sparrow. They're still a bird, but not the same kind of bird.
The deuteron is a boson. Let's see. Oh God, lots of math here.
The only reason I even know much about heavy water is because there was a raid in World War II in Norway, maybe, to stop Hitler had a trainload of it coming because he was trying to develop nuclear weapons.
All right.
There's your history lesson for the day.
Yeah. On that note, we stopped Hitler. Watch Kung Fury. You'll enjoy it. So, thanks everyone for watching Foolish Tech Show today. You gleaned some sort of information out of all that. And we'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Proctor, were you going to do the other firewalls, or did you have some other things you were going to talk about?
Wow.
Okay. Wow. That sounds fascinating.
My tabs here.
Fascinating. That's a show to look forward to.
I won't miss that.
I have too many tabs open.
I got something to say.
Sure.
Oh, please.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
To fade away.
Yeah.
There can be only one.
Random quotes.
Unless you're talking about key pairs. Then that could be.
Oh yeah. No, I got something to announce.
Okay.
I did a little graphics work,
Oh,
a little UI work
Ooh.
nice.
last night. Yeah, and so in the UI work for the Kill 'Em All and D7X, and so what I came up with was I was like, ooh, blue, pretty, ooh, colors, ooh, gradients, and then I realized I don't really like all that junk so much. Kind of like it the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up doing. You won't really be. You probably can't even see it, but it is a gradient, and it is a different color. If you'll notice, the little menu bar on top is the old color of the system default tan that the apps were.
Mm-hmm.
And then and below it you see. So I haven't changed the menu bar yet. See, and then below it you see you see over here it's darker, and then it gets lighter. It's a different color. It's gradients stuff. It's just a little more pleasing to the eye than the plain. You really can't. Yeah, it's kind of difficult there, and I can even jack it up a little bit, but. I mean, it's just going to be a little more pleasing to the eye, and it's one of those things that a lot of people won't even notice. But I think it's kind of cool.
Cool.
Anyway, so it'll be like more pleasing to the eye, but you won't really notice it. So I don't think it'll offend anyone that doesn't care for those things,
All right.
for the moment. But anyway, that's what I've done. And actually, you just were looking. Actually, I guess I could say I also cleaned up the file inspection window a little bit.
I was going to say, that looks like a lot more information than we saw previously.
It is. I added the hashes, the SHA-256 for you.
Yay.
Got all of our last access and modified and created times instead of just the modified. Added other file system attributes instead of just hidden, but I kept the hidden one a little separate because all of these items, like I don't know why that is bolded actually, but got to look into that. But like all of these items are going to be like once the checks go in, like if for example the original file name, which is a new little bit of info, the original file name. So like if this file were renamed, right? It'll show up here as the original file name will be here. So, for example, if the original file name and the current file name are different, then that will be bold and red or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So,
very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Good work.
I have right-click options for all of these fields as well.
Oh.
And of course, all that information is going to be saved. Resizing is it's better. It's still getting there. It's still getting there. It's better. When I resize it down here, you can actually see some stuff that you don't. Because that's not. It's just like stuff I haven't removed yet.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But actually, what I'm going to do is have that stuff just appear. So in the D7X version, the extra options will just appear down here.
Oh,
but in the regular Kill 'Em All, they won't even be there. It'll just be this right here. So yeah, there's more info there, and
you missed a good show, Phoenix.
And also, I had a couple of new ideas for the file inspection window here. As long as I'm talking about it, the first one being that I'm going to scan the all of the AutoRuns, AutoRun entries like a la defunct, for any instances of the executable and report them. and then I'm going to also scan the Windows installed programs list for this data as well, like for the directory that the executable's in, and or the company name and et cetera, program name, and then that will be reported here as well. So then there will be like a one-click button to uninstall the associated program or to remove the auto start entries, et cetera.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So that'd be sweet.
Wow. Well, I'm very, yeah.
Yeah.
So folks, yeah, this is what's getting done behind the scenes here.
And that'll be and that'll be like that'll I don't think that'll be free version functionality though, but I think that'll be part of the preem.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Of course, there'll be the blacklisting and all that other stuff for the prevent programs bit and the allowed programs, all that good stuff. So
welcome, Tim.
Who's there? Who goes there?
We have two people, Phoenix and Tim, who recently joined us. We had a great show today. We talked about PGP, pretty good privacy, and email encryption. And John was just ending with some improvements to interface and functionality in Kill 'Em All, which is funneling right into D7X. All Kill 'Em All 5, I believe, technology, right, is D7X based, correct?
Yes. Yes, this will be D7X, but and in fact, most of the stuff I'm working on is I'm working on the D7X functionality in parallel with everything else. So that's why it's taking so long to release even something as simple as Kill 'Em All, because everything I'm doing, I'm also doing the D7X parts of it too. So
yeah. But this is all part of the big puzzle here, folks. So it is coming. I know. Occasionally we still get people mentioning that D7.2 hasn't been updated in a while, but I want to remind everyone that D7.2 has reached a feature freeze point. We're focusing on D7X, and so there won't be any changes to D7.2, but we'll keep you posted on Kill 'Em All, how it's coming, and other D7X features.
And the Kill 'Em All, the Tech Edition will be like the new Deon installer. In case you're Tim, speaking, and that's why Tim. Tim, are you Tim from Squatting Dog Tim, or are you different Tim? Just asking. In the chat. Are you even watching?
No, just for the chat.
It is in the chat for no reason.
Oh,
he is that Tim.
There we go.
Good. I've been meaning to talk to Tim because of the Deon installer switches and stuff. The Kill 'Em All is going to replace that. I'm going to give everyone with basically it's going to take the same functionality as Deon installer. It'll take over all that, just so I can have everything in the same package and just develop one app. And then the features will be enabled for that Deon installer license with that license, and then they won't be with a different license or whatever. Oh yeah, new schedule. Yeah, it is a little weird, but I'm getting used to it. But in any case, I did need to talk to you about the command line functionality and some other things about your plugin. I had some other ideas too. I'm maybe we could do that off the air. Actually, some of these ideas are pretty crazy.
I was going to say we'll need your public key, Tim.
Well, definitely before I get this out there, we want to talk to you though about that. I don't think I'm going to change much about the command line parameters or anything, or the functionality, but I want to make sure I'm not going to mess anything up.
Phoenix PC Repair, Vercrypt is the thing that took over for where TrueCrypt left off, right?
I think so.
Is that what you use that to encrypt files and things too, or yeah, I would assume so.
Ooh, who's that? Hey, before you move on, Tim, actually, if you want to hang around for a minute, if we can get on video after the show or something, that'd be awesome. Or just sometime. I'll be right back, guys.
Hey, John.
Hmm?
Concerning the next show, what do you think about me covering Repair Tracker and Repair Shop R?
PC Repair Tracker and Repair Shop R?
Yeah, compare them.
Oh, wow.
That would be good.
Yeah, if you want to.
I've been looking at both of them. So.
You know we have both of them, right?
I wasn't sure if we did or not.
We do.
Okay.
I don't know if I have the latest version, but I can get it from Luke of PC Repair Tracker if you let me know.
Yeah, do that.
Which you just did, so I'll try to do that.
Yeah, do that.
And then we're supposed to have a Repair Shop R account too, and I think the credentials are in somewhere, OneNote or something.
And I had a customer with some questions. I asked him to come on today. I don't believe that he's joined us, but we had a couple of people having some problems getting D72 set up with Repair Shopper. So
ooh, good for the show.
That's gonna be a great show. So I'm gonna definitely use that. If you could go through that process, I'm sure that will help that customer out there. Proctor, you think that'll be good?
Yeah. And I will be here on Thursday for the show. So can we do this on Thursday to give me a little more time to prepare?
Sure.
All right.
Okay, let's. So that's going to be Thursday, folks. Anyone still currently listening? That's going to be a good one to all of our Repair Shop R users out there with D72, which good few of them, I believe. And real good information there. Okay, well, folks, thanks so much for joining us. It's been fun. I'm sorry to get off. Still maybe hang out in the chat a little bit there if you want to stick with us, guys, because I know you got here just recently, Tim, in Phoenix. But we are over our hour time limit, almost 2 hours, actually. Anybody else have anything to share or say?
Tim, we'll send you a link for the video chat, and I guess we can do it through the IRC, or if you jump off the IRC, we'll send it to that email you posted. But yeah, we'll talk to Tim in a bit here so we can go over the de-uninstaller stuff for him, and tomorrow I'll probably do a show on, I think I'm going to do OpenVPN and setting it up here. So
oh, nice. That'll go right along with our other conversation there. What are you going to specifically with OpenVPN? Are you going to go for setting up from scratch?
I don't know. You'll have to see tomorrow.
Oh.
Join in tomorrow.
Tune in to see, Michael.
Yeah. Join in tomorrow at 2. We'll go over OpenVPN and setting up your own personal private network, and
really
we'll talk to you guys later.
I'm anxious to see all of these shows. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Appreciate it. Bye.